Welcome all. Welcome to the Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Lance Sexton, thank you for joining us. Thomas Kimsey, president of Thomas and CEO of Thomas USA Group, the specialist in rural lending. Thomas, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bob, for having me. It's always good to be here on a Friday.
Yeah, and you also are very active in promoting access to capital for rural America. So that's a very needed niche in our environment today.
No, absolutely. You took the words, access to capital to rural America, Bob. Those are my words.
It says right here. It says right here.
Yeah.
And Katie, thank you for joining us on our pre-Thanksgiving Friday. I think we're all looking forward to a couple of days off. Lance, you're going to do a webinar, and I know we've been working hard on it. Tell us about it. This is pretty cool stuff.
Bob, business acquisition loans represent an incredible opportunity for SBA lenders, and we're coming into a period where you've got baby boomers who own businesses who are getting ready to retire and needing to sell their business. You've got because of the pandemic, you're going to have, look at the picture here. We'll open again. You're going to have businesses that may close because of the pandemic, but sell to someone who decides to reopen, revitalize that business. But there are going to be tons of business acquisition opportunities in 2021. And we're going to talk about the SOP 5010-6 requirements on business acquisition loans, as well as the nuances that occur when you have a business acquisition loan where the seller has a PPP or an idle loan attached to that selling business. So we're going to try to give you the best tips, best practices on business acquisition.
Very good. Let's go to the poll questions. This was held over from yesterday. Do you have forgiveness apps pending at SBA that are over 90 days old? First of all, Lance, for those who answer yes, what should they be doing?
Well, I continue to get bits and pieces of information and got off the phone with a fantastic SBA lender earlier, and they were talking about in submitting applications, they had two $50,000 forgiveness applications. One was forgiven almost immediately, and another's been sitting at SBA for a while. Apparently, SBA has some sort of risk metrics that they're applying to the PPP forgiveness applications when they come in, and some are deemed high risk, and they may take longer to review, and some are deemed low risk and just flow through the system, and forgiveness is quick. So, and this is not based on somebody from SBA telling me that. It's just based on some information that I'm hearing out in the lending community. I know SBA.
I'm sorry.
I know, Bob, SBA. I know SBA is working very hard to get these forgiveness applications processed as soon as possible, but we all have to take a step back. And, when we were processing these, Bob, the volume was overwhelming, and forgiveness applications are going to be pretty overwhelming for SBA as well.
I guess the question is there anything the lender can do to be proactive or just sit on it for a little bit longer?
Keep an eye on the forgiveness portal and just continue to monitor it. I would say that if you get to the 120-day mark, you may want to email the PPP questions or PPP forgiveness email address and ask about it.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We're going to talk about today, a lot of people, a lot of trade groups are coming out in support of blanket forgiveness, of pinning down that 150 versus 50 and blanket forgiveness, signing a certification. Do you agree with that? Thomas, I don't think we've heard your opinion about that. Thomas, what do you think?
I think so, Bob. We've had a lot of conversations with a lot of lenders, and we've had some conversations on Capitol Hill as well. And I think that's where it needs to be, at least 150. I would probably say.
I think
because,
I think it should be bigger.
I mean, yes, I agree, Lance. It should be bigger. I mean, I know that
ICBA wants $1 million. Yes, yes.
I think
Katie,
I think
of the 150, Katie, what percentage of the portfolio would fall under that threshold?
So it's a fairly small number of the total dollar amount because, of course, this is all these loans under 150. But that is 87% of the total loans that were lent out. So that is a significant number of these PPP loans.
Great. And Thomas, the reason why we have you on, we want to talk about this. And this is something I'm interested in. I know you're very interested in. A lot of people are very concerned about what's happening in rural America with respect to hospital and healthcare,
Sure.
especially in today's environment. And the question is, can we lend funds to nonprofit through USDA? And Thomas, tell us about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely we can under the USDA. You know, community facility program is primarily how you've always done nonprofits. That's what the program's set up for in the community facility program. But you can also do nonprofits under the B&I program as well. But primarily we've done them under the community facility program. We've done them in the past and we can continue to do them. You know, I was just down in Wisconsin working with a hospital group they want to build a new replacement hospital. So we've got a number of hospital projects we're working on, from replacement hospitals to additions, and a lot of behavioral health is one of the things you're seeing a lot in rural America, that there is not enough beds and enough help there. So you're seeing some of the rural hospitals add that as well, because it's desperately needed in rural America.
Thomas, I know last year for your Rural Roundtable, you had a great presentation from a rural hospital network out of Georgia, and they were going through their challenges. But this is, and a lot of rural hospitals are closing, and the problem is, Thomas, they're usually the number one employer in that county.
Right. So, yes, you are seeing a lot of closures. Texas, Georgia, and are sort of leading the nation in closures. And yes, Bob, as you know, once you lose that hospital, there goes your community, and you're never going to get industry to come into a rural community when you don't have a hospital or sufficient health care. And so this is something that I've been passionate about for the last few years. We've worked with the National Rural Health Association. We've worked a lot with Congress. Even when the PPP came out, there was a lot of questions where the rural hospitals couldn't get them, particularly the ones that were municipal owned. And I mean, it was absurd. So we put a lot of time and effort into it to help the rural hospitals. And I feel like there continue to be a lot of need, and it's a critical item, because I can tell you that most rural hospitals are not profitable. It's a huge number, and I get that. We've got to save these hospitals if we're going to save a rural community.
Thomas, tell me about USDA and Rural One. I want you to tell us more about some of that initiative, but also tell us about, you're also active combining these loans with SBAs. So how can a traditional SBA lender who doesn't get involved with B&I work with you or work with the programs?
Sure. So yeah, we're very excited about the USDA 1RD loan initiative that went into effect October 1st. That's something we worked on a lot with the agency, as along with many others, to get where we're at. One of the big highlights of the 1RD loan program is you get an 80% guarantee across the board up to $25 million. That is huge. Prior to that, under a B&I loan over $10 million, you got 60%. So you can see how excited most lenders we were to get that. We've got guarantee during construction. We could not do that under the community facility program for these hospitals when we need to do construction. That's a huge benefit to be able to get that. Yes, there's a small fee, involved with that to get the guarantee, but that's a huge, issue, particularly with our smaller community banks, to be able to get that, Bob.
Are you usually working with 7A or 504 when you have the SBA component?
So when we do the SBA component, I mentioned this prior to us going live, we've got several projects where we're maxing out, the 25 million, and then we can add 5 million in SBA on there, 7A. So we've always traditionally done it through the 7A program. to give us additional guaranteed dollars to do these larger projects. It's a great way to do it. You can do shared lane positions, pari passu, or, if you want to segregate and do, differently under the two programs you can. We typically do pari passu, but it allows us to maximize the guarantees and do larger loan amounts.
Real quick, what does, give us a synopsis of USDA 1RD. What is the advantage to lenders on this new initiative?
So the new 1RD initiative, it combines 4 programs. It combines the business and industry program, the community facility program, the water and waste program, and the Rural Energy for America program, the REAP program. These 4 guaranteed loan programs are now under 1RD. So as a lender, you can participate in all 4 of those. And the national office and the state offices, they're working on all these. If you're a national multi-state lender, you have a customer relationship manager that you will work with. So in the past, we had 2 loan committees, one at the state level, one at the national level. The loan goes directly to the national office where they work on it, assign a specialist. So from an efficiency standpoint, a processing standpoint, we feel it's a great initiative, not only for, the rural community, but also for the agency. And
Is USDA now a zero subsidy program?
it is not zero subsidy. No, we're you've got 4 programs here, so
Yeah,
no,
that's all.
not for all of them. So no, not for all.
Oh, well,
programs.
let me rephrase the question, but it is a program, again, as SBA, it has bipartisan support in Congress, correct?
It does have bipartisan support,
Yeah.
very much.
So, it's a great program. I urge you to get in contact. If you want more information, get in contact with Thomas. Obviously, it's a little bit different than SBA, but it's the same concept, government guarantee. There are the 2 main advantages for the rural lender is there's no splitting of prepayment of the guarantee of the premiums. Boy, I'm mumbling all over my words. In other words, you sell it to the secondary market, you don't have to split that above 110 with the agency, correct, Thomas?
Yeah, that is a great benefit to our banks. And, one of the new things in the 1RD I'll point out, you now instead of having to keep 5%, you have to keep 7.5% retainage now on those loans. So that's an important
Well, I
note.
appreciate that update. We'll see that as we get closer to how things are going to finalize in Washington. But I know that you and other groups are pushing very hard on supporting rural America.
Yeah.
Katie's following very closely. Katie, seems every day there continues to be, I don't want to use the word pressure, but there continues to be education for Congress on, dang, you got to get stuff done now. And this came out yesterday, and what do we have? What was the letter?
So this is a great letter that's coming from over 100 different trade groups that's really pushing Congress to address PPP forgiveness, not only to simplify it, but to also give some kind of blanket forgiveness. They're recommending under $150,000, which of course, as we just discussed, is about 87% of the total PPP recipients. So they want to obviously make this a lot easier. They're saying that it's going to reduce costs for the borrower, not only because, it's going to reduce the amount of time that they have to put into this, and time, of course, is money. It's the same also for lenders. It'll make it a lot easier for them to look through these and get it done. They're saying that they want to have a 1-page application of some sort, and then to just basically submit that and have automatic forgiveness.
So I'm assuming the analysis is this is the same as your tax return. You sign it and say, hey, I certify all this information is correct. If you want to contact me, I got it in files. Is that where we're going with this?
That's what it certainly sounds like. Of course, they don't have any of these forms drafted yet. This is just a letter urging Congress to create these forms and create this process. But I certainly think that's what they have in mind.
Thomas, I love the line that says we're going to save $7 billion in hours of paperwork. I mean, who comes up with this?
Yeah, no, it's that's great. I mean, let's less paperwork. We're all trying to get there with all the programs, so I love it.
Yeah, I want to, but I want to know how they came up with that $7 billion, Lance. That's
I don't know. You got me, Bob.
But the
real
thing is,
quick.
Bob,
Go ahead, Lance.
we want our small business owners concentrating on operating their small business, on creating revenues and profits and paying employees. We don't want them dragging around and trying to create payroll reports. So, I fully support this. I mean, I think
What
it
do we
should
want
be a
our
simple way.
entrepreneurs to do? Do we want them to focus on, okay, I'm dealing with challenges. I'm dealing with new state rules. I'm dealing with employees. I'm dealing with all these, my lender, my PPP loan, who's now my lender's telling me I may be taxed. I'm dealing with all this stuff. Or maybe we need to figure out a way to increase our revenues, increase our bottom line. I mean, that's what we all want. Let's see. Dan, thank you very much. Dan says to follow up on over 90 days, it's PPP forgiveness request at SBA.com, .gov. So that's cool. Jim asked, the question is, are the payments taxable? If not, can the recipient deduct the interest and fees paid by 11, 12 payments? Lance, do you know? I think that's all caught up in everything else.
Yeah, I think that's another interesting question that the IRS did not address, because there were CARES Act payments made 6 months worth. So it's a great question. Can they deduct the interest that was paid in the CARES Act payments as a normal expense on their tax return? I don't know. They haven't addressed it yet. But I do believe there are tons of support for IRS reversing their track on taxing the funds or forgiveness amount by not allowing small businesses to deduct it. So hopefully they'll pass something related to that.
We've highlighted all of the trade groups that are banking related, Texas bankers, national bankers. Go back the other way, gang. Here we go. ICBA, American Bankers Association. Mid-sized Bank Coalition America, never heard of them. The National Association of Credit Unions, IFA, of course. One more slide back, Asian American Hotel Organizations. We're certainly friends of what they do. So there's a lot of support out there. And if you're a member of any of these groups, America's SBDC, good to see them on board with this. I mean, it's pretty broad-based, U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And of course, we were making fun of some of these, the Cotton Association. I love the Cotton Association. Anyway, but what I find fascinating on this, Katie, is that every day, whether it's Senator Rubio or the trade groups or whatever, there's constant communication to Congress to say, hey, you got to get this done.
Certainly, and this particular letter even said that they really want to get this done before the end of the year. They need this done as soon as possible. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing a theme with. You're seeing Rubio saying the same thing, and previous letter that we went over yesterday, similar rhetoric. So it's definitely a big push right now.
Well, Treasurer Munchin made me a liar. I said that there was a pile of money out there that once Congress approves it, they're not going to let it go. But he's saying, no, Main Street lending, we are going to go ahead and let that sunset. Did you do any Main Street lending, Thomas? Is that a program you looked at? Is that something that is of interest to you?
We did. We did a handful of them, Bob. And, initially we were really planning to do a lot of it, but as you got into it, it was not an easy program to administer. A lot of lenders didn't have interest in it, but we did get a few done. We've got one more to do, but I thought this was interesting. I think a lot of people thought they would extend it, but as I was talking to somebody this morning, I think they've got plans to use that money somewhere else. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure. As I said yesterday, they're going to do it. Hey, shout out to Ami. By the way, Ami, I haven't got back to you, but yes, I'd be more than happy to be on your podcast. But I will follow up. Ami says, hey, these are the changes that he thinks will be more palatable to lenders. Raise the guarantee. We all agree with that. Reduce the borrower fees. I mean, Lance, we don't want to be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in borrower fees when we're trying to employ people and increase amortizations.
Well, I absolutely agree with the increased guarantee percentage. It would help every small business that's applying for a small loan, certainly help the participant lenders want to do more SBA loans, and taking or reducing the guarantee fee would be a good thing right now. The guarantee fee is pretty substantial on larger projects. So these are all great ideas.
We're going to go 5 minutes over time. We just have so much news, and this is important. Katie, yesterday we broke the news. You broke the news of the IRS saying we're going to tax it. What was Congress's reaction?
So Congress very quickly said that that was not the intent of the CARES Act, and they're now writing letters back and forth saying that they really want to avoid having that problem now because they don't want small businesses to be affected by, be taxed on this. It's not really the intent of the program, and it would hurt them more in this time when they really shouldn't be worried about that at all.
And I love reading these things, guys. And Katie, when it says this is a joint statement, means by both the ranking member, in this case still Republican Grassley, and the chairman Grassley, and ranking member Ron Wyden, Democrat from Oregon. So that's good news. Why are we following this story, Katie? What's important about this story on PPP disclosure of information?
On disclosure, that particular issue is just it wasn't really meant for small businesses to really like go into it thinking that they were going to have it thinking that they needed this loan and everything, and then come out doing better than really they intended and get hit by this with taxes and things like that, and also possibly not having forgiveness. So we've been following that closely to make sure that, just to see how it's going. Obviously, you're seeing some movement in Congress and other places as well, some lenders. So we'll see how that goes.
Finally, the last question. This is for you, Lance, from John. Does PPP forgiveness apply if the borrower has another 7A loan with the same lender who reports that 7A loan is in liquidation status?
That's a tough one, Bob, because when it was being put into E-Tran, if the loan was in liquidation status, it should have declined. I think that if they got the PPP loan, they should still be able to apply for and get forgiveness.
Okay, very good. Hey, Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you.
Bob.
Keep up the good work in rural America.
Thank you.
Lance, Katie, have a nice weekend. Everyone the same. And thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's main and rural main streets, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great weekend.
Bob.